good. Okay, you're live, sir.
Okay. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to the September meeting of the Metropolitan School District of North Posey and ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So I think we'll start off the meeting with a moment of silence on the, I believe it's the 22nd year of after 9/11. So you please bow your head and join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Vision, mission, core beliefs, and high priorities.
So our vision is we inspire all students to achieve their potential for learning and life in a safe and supportive environment. Our mission is we partner with our community to create a dynamic and innovative educational experience, empowering students to become educated, productive, and responsible citizens. Our core beliefs, we believe our community is vital to our educational success. Everyone is valued and treated with respect, and always telling the truth, an educational opportunity for all, student-centered programs, challenging and inspiring learning, and in the pursuit of excellence through a strong sense of pride. Our high priorities are enhancing the student experience, investing in teachers and administrators, fostering strong relationships among all, and maximizing resources.
All right. Next item of business is patron concerns, and we want to note that we do not have any signed up. And then next we will open the budget hearing, and Dr. Galvin will review information for that.
Yes, according to state statute, we have posted our capital projects plan and bus replacement plan on our website. In addition to that, we have uploaded all the required documents onto the gateway system for our budget to be reviewed by the public. And so we are ready to begin that or moving forward. And so this evening we were required to have that public hearing. And then the October 5th meeting, we will be considering for adoption that budget.
Okay. All right, so is there anyone that would like to speak on the public hearing for the 2024 budget? All right, so we'll go ahead and leave that open until we adjourn our meeting. And then we will next open up the public hearing for the 2023 to 2025 Teachers Association contract negotiations.
Yeah, according to state statute, we are required to have a public hearing prior to beginning negotiations to hear input from our community about the upcoming teacher negotiations. Mr. Wallace is here this evening from the North Posey Teachers Association as well, and we have scheduled our first negotiation session on Thursday, September the 21st, beginning at 9:00 a.m. that morning. So we hope that we can get everything wrapped up that day and be able to get us a good contract for our teachers for the next 2 years. So.
All right, so I will open the floor. Mr. Wallace wants to speak first, and then we'll open it up.
I mean, I basically concur with what Dr. Galvin said. We want to have a good experience where everybody, you know, that old adage, we're going to try to make everybody happy all the time. So, but, you know, that's, you know, you do what you can there. So we're, you know, our hope and expectations from what the state budget had, we think there's some areas where we're going to be able to come together and yeah, have a contract that's beneficial for everybody.
Anyone else wanting to speak? All right, well, we will leave that public hearing open as well until we adjourn our meeting. The next item is the minutes, claim docket, and consent items. Dr. Galvin, you want to read through?
Yes. So we have the following resignations, retirements. Jacob Regan resigned as the technology director effective September 15th of 2023. The FMLA or personal leave request from Julie Saylor for leave days from December the 4th through the 11th of 2023. And then Kathy Petrie, leave days from February 1st to the 9th for 2024. The following hiring, transfer, and volunteer requests for 23-24 school year: Stephanie Sharber, hire as the elementary counselor. Alexander Kudij, thank you, hire as a special education instructional assistant at North Elementary School. Lisa Brandenstein, Abigail Compton, and Jordan Dietz, student council coaches, splitting the stipend 32%, 36%, 33% respectively. Wesley Scherzinger, hire boys basketball coach at South Terrace Elementary, splitting the stipend 50-50 with Brandon Barrett. Jeff Duvall, hire as a track coach at North Posey Junior High School. Mark Ashby and Carter Martin, volunteer girls soccer coaches at North Posey High School. Tanner Titchener, volunteer boys soccer coach at North Posey High School. Kelly Tinbarge, Rhonda Wells, Eric Walden, and Michelle Walden, volunteer swim coaches from North Posey High School Swim Club. Stephen Hatch, volunteer boys basketball coach at South Terrace Elementary School. Also, you received this afternoon a resignation from, let's see here, Abigail Spanonich. Yep. Smile Yonich, resigning as the robotics coach at South Terrace. She was a 50-50 split with Pam Wilson. And so then you have a recommendation for Pam Wilson to now be 100% on that. Then also the following reoccurring items for consideration of a memorandum of agreement with Dr. Chester Burkett for the 23-24 standing orders, an annual license renewal for Microsoft 365 for faculty and students at a cost of $13,800. And then you have a listing of requests to surplus various items in the manufacturing room at North Posey High School.
All right, looking for a motion to approve with the addition of the robotics stipend.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent orders as presented.
In a second,
I'll second.
a motion by Mrs. Will, seconded by Mr. Cawley, to approve the consent agenda as listed. Any other discussion on the item?
What is the Microsoft 365 used for these days?
I believe we still have some classes that are using that. Administration uses it. It's more for the specific
teaching it.
technology. Yeah, teachers can use
Okay.
it.
I knew we went to
Google.
schools. so I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
what-
There's still some,
there's still some.
Still using it.
yes.
Yeah.
And I think there's a junior high class that uses it as well.
Quite a bit of teaching both to try to make sure that they're ready.
We had that same conversation though, Vince, about that.
The engineering software will not run on Google Chrome, so if without it, they can't do the engineering software, so.
Business classrooms as well. Some of the business software that we have will only run on a Windows PC, not a Chromebook.
Any other items for discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 5-1.
Okay, so you have these in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
New business, so we will have Mrs. Walden present on a new position.
So as you just approved, we had Jake Ricken submit his resignation as our Director of Technology. As we've kind of started the process of that search and posted that position and started interviews and conversations about our Director of Technology and the technology department as a whole, we see a real need to add some restructure to that to make sure we're supporting the district appropriately. So what we're asking tonight is that the board would allow us the opportunity to add a new position. This would be a network systems admin position. And that would come in at the same level as a data specialist. We will bring a job description as we develop that for you to look and approve. But we're asking that we go ahead, that you would approve us to go ahead and move forward with creating that position and searching for that position.
So looking for a motion to approve the new network systems administrator position.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion by Mrs. Bauer, seconded by Mr. Oakley to approve. Any other discussion? I know that before Jake had joined our team here, we were paying a significant amount of contracted cost out. And that we're basically unable to find someone with all the skills that he had to be able to do the network or the director's position. So this is a position that's being basically created to try to avoid that contracting cost, which was upwards of $100,000 before they joined our team. So, any other?
You explained it well.
Okay, so all those in favor of the motion to open a new position of network system administrator, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And that motion carries 5-0. Okay, so next is Dr. Galvin.
Yeah, we have this evening with us JJ Epperson, and she's going to be talking a little bit about a upcoming Puerto Rico trip in the spring of 2024.
I didn't know I was talking. I just thought I was answering questions. But I have talked. I've taken this trip many times with students. It is to Puerto Rico, and I would like to go there as opposed to a Spanish-speaking country because one, it's a U.S. territory, so we don't have to have a passport. 2, it's U.S. territory, so we don't have to change money. 3, it's U.S. territory, so it's pretty safe, right? And in this trip, it could happen in the spring or June. The price will be the same as long as we take the trip in 2024. The price doesn't change. I had a lot of softball girls ask if we could wait until their season ended, and I thought that was a fair ask. So it can happen at that time too. But we'll do things like zip line. We'll go from one end of the island to the other. We'll learn salsa dancing. We'll have a cooking class. We'll make mofongo, which is traditional Puerto Rican food made out of plantain. We'll learn songs. We'll swim in the bioluminescent bay, which is where the single cell organisms that light up and when you disrupt their environment. So we go out with the ship captain at night, and then we swim in a bay that has a lot of those organisms, and the kids really have a good time when we do that. But most importantly, all of my trips include service learning, and another reason why I wanted to go to Puerto Rico is there's a lot of service that can be done there, a lot of service. And so in the past, we've done things like we spent a day with an adult male orphanage, and students read to them, played with them, played dominoes, played basketball, planted gardens, painted the outside of their home, had dinner. Like they really got involved and had a wonderful time. We have also spent a day at a Head Start school or location, and painted and played with kids and cleaned a playground. So there are just lots and lots of opportunities for us there. Any questions?
You answered most of mine. Whether or not you had done this before, but I
have done this a lot.
You have.
Yes, I have done this a lot.
Is it affiliated with the United States?
I thought I said that.
And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for our students.
It is. And the cost would include airfare, all of our meals except airport meals. I also will add, we will not eat at McDonald's. We will not have traditional American food. If we do have pizza, it will be Puerto Rican through and through. It will not have U.S. ingredients on top of that crust. Accommodations are in 3-star hotels, so not super fancy. Adults can join if they want. Sometimes adults really expect the luxury kind of trip and not the student trip. And we're taking a student trip for sure. But yeah, and I think my max that I can actually take is 50. So, and I wouldn't think we would hit that number, but we might.
Well, I did go to a McDonald's when I was in Germany.
And it wasn't the same, was it?
It was not the same, and it was an experience in and of itself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You should go to KFC in Japan.
Or Thailand.
Mhm. All right, well, I will look for a motion to approve the request for students to travel to Puerto Rico in the spring of 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mrs. Bowers, to approve the request. Any other discussion on the item? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
Go Doves.
So you're bringing in sign language now.
But truthfully, we use a lot of sign language in class.
That's awesome.
And you're free to stay or?
Thank you.
All right, next is Mrs. Wilson.
Next up is the approval of the Secured School Safety Grant from the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. And this is a grant we typically get each year. The last couple of years, we have received the full amount of $100,000 that we are eligible for. Remember, this is a matching grant, but in the last couple of years, we've been matching it against already existing services that are grant eligible. So typically we match against our school counselors and their salaries because those are grant eligible items to do student services. We're already paying for those. So that doesn't require us to create more and pay for more to get the grant funding. So we have been approved for the full amount of the $100,000, and that grant will take us through phase 3 of what I think will be 4 total phases of updating our secure access point entries across the district. The next step is junior high, senior high, and I think that will take 2 grant cycles to finish that out, I think.
All right, looking for a motion to approve the acceptance of the Secured School Safety Grant.
I'll make a motion to approve the Secured School Safety Grant.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mrs. Will, seconded by Mr. Colley, to approve the Secured School Safety Grant. Any other discussion on the item? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
And next is a new grant that it was a competitive grant this summer that came out called the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act Stronger Connections. It was also from the Department of Education. It was under Title IV. And because it's under Title IV, that does require us to provide that equitable share to any non-public school districts in the area. So this max amount of the grant was $400,000 that you could ask for. We have received the full $400,000. And again, that was a competitive grant. Not everyone did receive the money for that one. We do have to have that equitable share. I don't have that number in front of me, but I think I sent that out of what that is. I can't tell you the exact budget right now because it has not been fully approved. They will go through a process next. Once we are approved for the full funding amount, they will then go through our budget to make sure everything that I put in the budget is allowable for the grant. I don't anticipate any problems. We can go ahead and start spending on kind of sort of at our own risk, knowing that if something were to pull off, then we would have to pay for it later. And so things that we can go ahead are things like our Youth First elementary counselors. We're going to pay for those anyway, so we can go ahead and start putting them in the grant. I put some additional money in there for the raise that we offered to our school resource officer to cover that cost for a couple years. This is a 3-year grant. Leadership capacity building for students. We had Mrs. Amy Duvall, assistant principal at the high school, had given me a request over the summer of several items on her list that she really wanted to offer to students to build leadership capacity, again, along with our strategic planning. That was part of the strategic planning goal that she's working on. And so she had just given me kind of a wish list, and I was able to put all of those items into this grant to help support their efforts for that strategic goal. And we'll also be doing some study work on some cognitive development opportunities that I've become aware of that we kind of want to just fill out and see, hey, is this something that we would want to bring to the district? So I've got some money in there for a team of teachers and administrators. There's a couple schools in Indiana that have already started this work. So to go visit them and learn from them about what they're seeing with some cognitive support for students to sort of slow the academic game down a little bit by increasing cognitive ability. So that's what that grant is about. And we'll, again, that budget, once it's fully approved, then I'll be able to share that.
All right, looking for a motion to approve the grant of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
And a second? A motion by Mr. Colley, seconded by Mrs. Bowers to accept the grant. Any other discussion on the item?
Good work on that, thanks.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
And I think the match there is no match required.
There's no match. This is
Okay.
$400,000 to the
That's-
district over 3 years.
That went to,
Yeah, I think it was like 42,000 maybe. And it is going to Youth First social workers, so it is helping students that will someday be in our district.
all right, so we have a motion by Mr. Colley, seconded by Mrs. Bowers. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
Next up this evening, I think Alex Rozier, is that how you pronounce his last name, Vince? I'm not sure, okay. Alex Rozier, I think, contacted Vince about CenterPoint was doing this project, energy savings project, mainly upgrading our LED lighting in the facility. So we invited them to come in and do a walk through this. We had just wrapped this up with Duke Energy over here at North Elementary. Annual energy savings on this is about $16,433. The estimated cost for the project is $17,813. So investment payback would be about 1.1 year. There is a 46% discount on the program. So the actual cost of the program is, it looks like about $31,344 for equipment and labor cost. And so they did a walkthrough. I believe more of this is going to be retrofitting rather than actually replacing the fixtures, is what we did over at North Elementary. But the cost for this is $17,813, and that would be coming out of operations if this was approved by the board this evening. And so this project actually has to be wrapped up, I think, by the end of October into November. So they have a pretty quick timeline on this.
Are they working evenings to?
Yeah, we talked a little bit to Aaron as well, and if it's approved, we're going to see if we can, because they said it's going to take like 45 minutes to do a classroom. So mainly we could possibly move the classroom out.
Planning period
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, so
Or after 3.
so there's some things that we're going to work through on that aspect of it to kind of create that schedule and stuff. But once again, this is a great opportunity for us to kind of get some energy savings that will help us out in the long term.
All right, looking for a motion to approve the energy efficiency lighting project at South Terrace.
Make a motion to approve the project at South Terrace.
One second.
Motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mrs. Bowers. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for moving that along quickly.
You're welcome. Yep. So, Next up this evening, we have discussed the 2024 bond that's coming up, and during our last meeting, kind of in the report section, we decided, or we asked that we kind of move forward with CTE wing at the high school and the science classroom at North Posey Junior High. And so tonight we're kind of bringing forward to officially vote on that, to begin preliminary drawings on those two areas. So we're bringing that forward for your consideration this evening.
Looking for a motion to begin preliminary design of the CTE wing and the science classrooms in the junior high.
I'll make a motion. Go ahead.
I make a motion, we approve those.
And a second.
I'll second, yeah.
We have a motion by Mr. Colley, second by Mrs. Will. Any other discussion on the item? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
First up this evening are professional leaves. We had a couple of things that happened after the last meeting and before this meeting that we had to kind of try to get in. Michael McMunn attended Rose Holman. I believe all costs were reimbursed by this program. So Sean asked if we could get that in there. And then as we're going to share it in a moment, Amy Hallam received the Educational Excellence Award at Gala. So,
All right, looking for a motion to approve the professional leave request.
I'll make a motion to approve the professional leave request.
And a second.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mrs. Will, seconded by Mr. Colley. Any other discussion on the items? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
and the next list are ones that are coming up in the future for your review and consideration this evening.
One change, small change on that, the very last of that, the ISP Fall Conference, I do believe we have some funding assigned to that for Title II. So we'll just make that note that it could be education or Title II. I think I wrote that in there. I'm sorry, I forgot to review it.
All right, looking for a motion to approve the future professional leave requests.
I'll make a motion to approve the upcoming professional leave request.
And a second. All right, I have a motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mrs. Bowers to approve the professional leave requests. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
Next up in the reports this evening, the first thing is that school employee exclusive representative affidavit. You received that. That's just recognizing that we are going to be the exclusive representative for the teachers is North Posey Teachers Association. On your sheet, though, it was listed 107. There's actually 111 certified staff. So just to kind of be aware of that. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay. Then next up this evening, we're going to talk a little bit about classroom furniture. We had discussed in the past K through 3 furniture, and we've done some update as the board's request, kind of did some updating or additional research on this project. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as we're going to go through this evening. So you want to kind of explain that process? So, okay. So, okay, I thought you knew that one. So.
No.
All right. So what we did was there's a couple of different options that we could do. We had brought bids, and I think there was some concern that those bids were written for a specific vendor. And so what I did was I approached Hafer Architects and just kind of said, how do you write a general bid for furniture? And for me, not knowing what's quality furniture, what's going to be something that we're going to make sure that's going to last us for a long time, and those kinds of things. And so Rebecca, who is the person who's working with us on a lot of our furniture and stuff, she said that they had just done one with Jeffersonville over by Louisville, and they kind of they took some pictures of it. they wrote in some specs of what they wanted it to be like and how they wanted it to be shaped and stuff. So there's that, they're able to do that for us. And they're able to, create something like this. Another thing I talked to her a little bit about is you have the 2024 bond coming up, and you're going to be buying classroom furniture for the CTE wing. You're also going to be buying furniture for your science classrooms as well. And so one thought is just to hold off. And in that process, you could just select a preferred vendor that's going to provide furniture for the next 3 to 5 years. So that if you continue to purchase furniture, you didn't have to continue to do actual bids all the time. You could just get that quote from that preferred vendor. And that kind of situation would mainly be working with Hafer, possibly putting together a committee of administrators, teachers, and then talking to different vendors to where you develop a relationship with that person, to where if you have issues, they may come back, they may then address those issues, follow up with you, those kinds of things. So there's a couple of different ways that you can go in. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so I think one of the things, and from my experience of building a building before I came here, is going through that process of selecting a vendor was really valuable because every vendor, especially furniture is unique in that every vendor has a budget line, has a mid-level line, and a high-level line of product within their own, repertoire of stuff that they have, right? And so us coming together and saying, hey, our budget is going to be here. Now let's whittle down with our preferred vendor what we want to put in the room. And so do we want to spend more money on chairs that kids are in, a lot of the day versus, some other item in the room and say, hey, we want our chair to be high level line where we're okay with budget line on something else, and saying you can kind of mix and match within your vendor. And I think that's what causes some of the complication with furniture quotes, is because there's so many levels of, okay, we're selecting a vendor and we're selecting a budget line and we're selecting, like, there's 40 different versions of chairs. Which chair do you want? Those kinds of things. And so selecting a preferred vendor, and it doesn't have to be forever. It's saying, for the projects that we're going to do over the next however many years you would want, we say, okay, we want this furniture to all match. We want it to have the same look, have the same feel. And so to do that, we're going to choose, this vendor to work on these projects. And it wouldn't cut out any of the process. Like, yes, we wouldn't go to full bid, but we would still bring budgets and proposals and pictures and that kind of stuff.
And Rebecca actually suggested that. She said that's a way that you can, with Hafer, that's a way that you can, you just have this one preferred vendor that you go to, and then you build that relationship with them, and you mainly are getting quotes from them.
But there is the process of then choosing the vendor. That is kind of that, you put a team together, you either have them all, bring presentations to you, or, what I've done in the past is we actually took a day and we went to the different vendors, we went to and saw their stuff, and they did a presentation for us, and then we kind of gathered together and decided which vendor matched our mission and our vision and our ideas and what we wanted to see in classrooms.
And you would consider cost, quality, all of that.
Currently, we use Lead Company for some stuff. With us now using BSN for our sports, we've started buying. They actually have some equipment, and like our bleachers are coming from BSN. We've also used Sharp Schools. We've also used, Corporate Design is who we're actually got the lowest bid for the life skills classroom, was Corporate Design. So we're trying to mix it up of who we're going to and stuff. So
as far as, because we've got I would say the science room, the CTE room are totally different compared to a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be something that we would maybe select somebody else for one of those?
You could. If you went to different vendors and you said, man, this company rocks science.
Yeah.
We don't really love everything else, but man, they do science well. You could you could say science, engineering, or, whatever, or technical. You could definitely say, for those things we want to do this company, and for general classroom, we want to have this company as a preferred vendor.
You can also
You can do whatever,
sometimes, if you find a product that you like, you can go to your preferred company and say, hey, we like this product. Do you have something comparable to it? And sometimes they can find something through the companies that they use.
You wouldn't enter into a contract with them per se, you would.
No, it's kind of just a blessing of like, hey, this is who we're going to do business with for the next whatever.
So tonight was just mainly discussion. So just to kind of chew it over and see, we can put this out there on the share drive, so board can kind of look at this, and we can kind of explain this proposal of picking a preferred vendor, so that you guys can kind of talk through and look through both those situations. And then if there's anything else you guys want us to look into, we can definitely look into that as well.
And we would have.
I'm sorry, tell me again, why a preferred vendor other than just leaving it open for anybody to bid on it? Is that?
So in my experience, the
better
preferred
pricing.
vendor allowed us the opportunity to narrow down our choices a little bit easier, rather than having both vendor and style and budget and, things to consider with every project.
And the other thing too, Larry, is that what we're trying to do is make consistency across the district on furniture, to where, especially at the elementaries, if we have more kids at North South Terrace, and we need to move some desks, we can move them back and forth. Whereas if you get to the point of where, like K through 3 has this furniture, and then we go to a different company for 4th and 5th, you may not have that flexibility as much.
But I think we wanted to bring it today to kind of get some direction, especially the elementary classrooms that are kind of on hold right now. Of okay, where do you all want us
They picked out
to?
something, right?
Mhm.
We're not gonna go forward with that.
We've got those bids still. I mean, I can pass those out for you guys to look at. And
I just feel like a lot of work went into that.
so this one, we just kind of looked, did some research, looked at how bids were written up, tried to put some things into this to make sure it gave us flexibility to be able to deny bids, if we didn't agree with it, to be able to possibly mix the bids up if we liked different companies for different things. If a company had something that was comparable to a product, they could submit that, and we would evaluate that and say, yes, that matches with what we want and stuff. And what this bid was really compiled with was information from Lee Company, as well as Capital Interiors, as well as Sharp Schools. So a lot of those, corporate design, my fault. Those 3 companies had submitted different quotes to us over the past year and things, to just kind of get a ballpark of how much is this going to cost us to be able to do this. And so we took a lot of this information, we brought it into teachers, had them look at it, kind of give us feedback through surveys and stuff of what do they like. The desks are pretty well not that different. There's still a rectangular desk. There's just some curved areas to where they can put them together more easily for group work and stuff. They still have the metal tray underneath, those kinds of things. So the desks or the chairs are a little bit more comfortable. They're a cantilever, so it allows a little bit more ergonomically.
We did a sit test.
Yes, yeah, we did a sit test on those.
Chairs aren't adjustable anymore for their set height.
Yeah, they're not adjustable with the cantilevers anymore,
So I don't
so
have to go in.
you don't.
Screws for
Yeah,
2 days.
they're specifically for that age group, Nick. So, yeah. Yeah, so you get a day
So
back.
what do you mean first and second grade student chair, size 4 through 15? What does that mean?
That means it's a specific size.
Okay, not that it can adjust 4 to 15 is what I was thinking.
That's
Is
just
there any
kind of-
concern on that though, that? I mean,
We talked a little bit about that, and the principals looked at that, and we actually, one of the chairs we bumped up, because we felt like we got some big kids, and we felt like the chair was gonna be way too small, so there would be some allowances there on that aspect of it, so.
But we also thought they look the same, whether it's the little or chair or the big chair, and so you could swap.
Yeah. We weren't gonna go with any fancy colors or anything like that, so.
Yeah, you could swap them around.
The kidney table was mainly just for the teachers to be able to group work. Then we went through and kind of went through teachers' desks. So they have a teacher's desk that's a little bit more, not as massive as the old Fortress that teachers used to have. It's a little bit more conducive to be able to pull 3 or 4 kids up, to be able to work with them in a small group. The lectern is actually movable and it's pneumatic, so whether the teacher can actually go up and down and they can put their Chromebook on it, if they're doing a presentation, they can move it around the classroom, it's on wheels and stuff. Of course, just a regular high back task chair for teachers. Then this is really where the teachers got very particular, is the storage carts. There was a lot of conversation around the storage carts, and and they really, if you'll notice, there's different ones for different grade levels because of just, how do kids move? How do the younger kids move compared to older kids? Those kinds of things. Where is the storage cart going to be at? Is it going to be at the actual group of desks, or is it going to be at a different area? And so, so there are changes or differences in each of the carts as well, the storage carts, and some differences there. As Michelle said, Wisconsin Bench is a very good company. We actually have some tables right now in the kindergarten classrooms over here from them. This is not their top of the line. This is kind of the middle of the road table, but it does have, this is the kind of stuff that I have no clue about, but the edging, the LOTS armor edge, so that you don't have a kid. It's specially put on there so you don't have a kid that's going to pick at it, and then eventually it's coming off or something. Yeah. So, we went through on this one. We went from kindergarten up to 3rd grade. We did actually receive some quotes for pre-K, but at this point in time, we felt like it was best to go kindergarten through 3rd. So, and this was going to be coming, the K through 3 furniture or K through 2 furniture, however much we could afford, was coming from the GEO bond.
If we were going to go with this, would it make sense to look at a preferred vendor then, so moving forward, we have consistency?
You could do it. You could do this, and then from then say,
We're going
So
with this.
select, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then at any time, I'm sure we can,
oh,
These for
yeah.
the
Change
elementary
that.
schools.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can change if there was a good route.
Yeah, there's no
Maybe something
contract, so
different.
you're not stuck to anything. It's more of just guidance for us to know where to invest our time and energy to
Mhm.
get the research done.
And you kind of have preferred vendors already, like DeBraw takes care of all your HVAC and stuff. So I mean, it's definitely, you build a relationship with them.
I just felt like a lot of people spend a lot of time going through and picking this out, so I hate to.
I agree. There's been so much that's happened since this that I've lost some sleep and forgot about things, but I just recall that I had 2 different teachers that felt like their input didn't matter and they didn't like what they were getting. And then when I felt like when the principals came, Erin acted like she was really into hers, and then Shannon kind of was like, I mean, it wasn't our top choice, but it was okay. Like, something she said made me think she wasn't into it, and I was like, oh, maybe the teachers are onto something. And then when we didn't agree to it, a bunch of people were mad, teachers, and I thought, so maybe the teachers were gridlocked with some teachers wanted something and other teachers didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, it's gotta be a decision by the administration
Administrators, yeah.
to be able to,
Right, so I felt like I didn't know enough about what was going on and that this was something specific, so that's why I just asked questions and we ended up.
because I think we have to have that commonality that,
So what you're saying is we could move this from not being the board's fault to being 100% the administrator's.
that's good.
You didn't hear that, Fisher.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, you're all right, I did not get that vibe from the two administrators. I thought that that's what they picked.
I remember her saying, well, you can't make everybody happy.
You're
There were
not.
some
And that
limits
made
with
me-
it.
Yeah.
Because some people had already approached me saying, when you get the approval for the furniture, you have to see it, it's awful, and I'm thinking, what are they talking about? So then when she presented it that way, it was again like, oh,
Yeah,
maybe,
hesitant.
because that's a lot of money, that was all, I was like, that's a lot of
And
money
something-
if a lot of people are not happy.
And it should be there long after we're all
Yes.
gone.
Yeah.
So you want to get the right stuff.
And you wanna
So
have that
do you-
commonality.
Now, I will
Now
tell
that we
you,
have it.
it doesn't last as long as it used to.
Nothing.
Nothing does.
Nothing does anymore, but, and it's a lot like the furniture that's in the STEM classrooms as well. It's not exactly what that is, but it's a lot like that.
I'll say now that we have a new administrator, do we want to get one more confirmation that this is what they want?
Revisit it next
I
month.
think that would be nice.
Yeah, just to get can we get a, yes, this is what we want?
Get her feel for that.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
I think that would make us feel better.
To make me feel better.
Mhm.
Maybe she can talk to her teachers and make sure that everybody's, the majority wants this.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Then the only other thing that you have in your packet this evening is the 2024 school board meetings for your information. And then also, I believe the good news report was sent out. The biggest news that we really want to announce is Mrs. Amy Hallam was awarded the Indiana Educational Excellence Award last Friday for her job as a special needs teacher. And she does a phenomenal job. And Mrs. Kester recognized her today in an assembly, a surprise assembly for her. Her family was there, as well as the Nightingale family, who was part of their recommendation that she got this. Amy is one of only 2 teachers in the state to receive this recognition this year. And so it's a great honor for us as a district, as well as for Amy. And so we congratulate her and thank her for all that she does.
Mhm.
If you've not met her, she is a dynamic woman and just does a great job for her kids. So, and that's all we have this evening, Mr. President.
Anything else for the good of the cause?
Just wanted to mention, it was nice to see the Northern Lights come back.
I did notice that too.
It was neat. Haven't seen one of those in years. I guess there's no paper version anymore, is it? It's all online.
Online, yeah.
So,
I printed it out.
I did too.
I was wondering which way I had to look to see that.
Yeah, you used to have a crossword puzzle in it too.
So,
Oh, there's,
That-
you can
that
get a
needs to be-
suggestion.
yeah.
There you go.
Need a Sudoku.
I prefer that because I'm horrible at crosswords. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll look for a motion to adjourn then.
I make a motion to adjourn.
And a second?
No,
We
negotiations.
have a motion by Mr. Hall, seconded by Mrs. Bowers, and we are adjourned.
So just to remind everybody, on the negotiations, we now get into a 72 to 2 hour notice